Okay, guys, so lesson 1.6, Honors and Math 7. We're going to be multiplying integers. If you don't remember what integers are, go back and review, okay? How do the signs of the factors affect their product? So we're going to go over that vocabulary real quick. Factors, they are numbers that you multiply. Okay, guys? Product, the answer is for multiplying the numbers. So I gave you an example. Factor multiplied by a factor equals the product. Remember, this little dot in the middle here is going to mean multiplication. So I gave you an actual example. 5 multiplied by 4 equals 20. So factor multiplied by factor equals the product. All right? Okay, so you need to have these rules down. I've had you write these down twice in your notes already. This is the third time. So multiplying a positive by a positive is going to give you a positive number. Multiplying a negative by a negative is going to give you a positive number also. And multiplying a positive by a negative will give you a negative. In other words, if the signs are the same, it'll be positive. If the signs are different, it'll be negative. So let me give you an example of how a strategy I use to be able to get this, okay? Now this is from example 3 from your PowerPoint. So most of this is just multiplication. You just multiply it through your calculator, okay? Any of these can mean multiplication. If I have a dot in between with the parentheses, multiplication. If there's just a dot in between, multiplication. If there's just parentheses around it, multiplication, okay? Our biggest thing here is to determine if the product is going to actually be positive or negative, okay, guys? So in other words, if I'm going through and it's a negative multiplied by a negative, those are signs that are the same, they cancel each other out. Then all we have to know is that it's a positive product. 2 times 7 is 14. That's our answer. Here, we have a positive multiplied by a negative. That means the signs are different. It's going to be negative. Then we punch it into our calculator, and we get 7 multiplied by 13, which is 90. Oops, almost miswrote that. Let me erase it so I write it correctly. A negative, right, product, and 91. Okay, guys? All right. Here we've got a negative multiplied by positive so that the signs are different. That means our product is going to be negative, and then 6 multiplied by 8 is 48. So you can see how I'm going through and actually determining, is this going to be a positive or a negative first, okay? Here I've got a negative multiplied by a negative. These negatives will cancel each other out. That means it's just simply 1 multiplied by 1, which is 1. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I've got 3 of them here, and I'm going to multiply all these numbers by each other. First thing I determine, is it going to be positive or negative? These negatives will cancel each other out, but because we have an odd number of negatives, that would mean this negative is left over, so it's going to be a negative product. Then we would simply multiply each one of these. 5 multiplied by 2 is 10, multiplied by 1 is still 10. Almost wrote 11. There we go. Okay, guys? So for most of you, that'll probably give you a good enough idea of how to do this. For some, you're going to have a little bit more problems. That's where you ask me in class. Okay, one of the hardest problems I had last year with the students was Excel number 13, the minors. Okay, so we have 2 elevators here. That's our situation. And what they're doing is they have an equipment elevator and a minor elevator. The minors would go down on a separate elevator. Okay, so what you're looking at here is you have a negative 5 feet per second. In other words, they're going down at a rate of 5 feet per second. The minors are going down quicker at a rate of 16 feet per second. So what we have here is you have the equipment elevator has a 25-second head start. Okay, then both elevators descend for another 16 seconds. So first of all, we know that this needs to be negative because it's going down. So to start our expression, we're going to say, okay, I'm multiplying by negative 5 here. I'm multiplying by negative 16 here. Okay? Then I realized that because the equipment elevator got a head start, a 25-second head start, I've got to put that 25 seconds. And then they go another 16 seconds, so I have to add the 25 and 16. and then I'll multiply it by the -5, okay? Then over here, they only went for 16 seconds, so I'm going to simply multiply that by 16. Each one of these will give me the depth that they are at. How many feet are they below the surface? Okay, now here I realize, because I'm doing this, this is going to be a -5 multiplied by 41. So I have one additional step here to be able to show you guys all the work, right? So I realize it's a negative multiplied by a positive. That's a negative, okay? And that's going to be 205 feet. So they are 205 feet below the surface, or -205. This is a negative multiplied by a negative, so it's going to be a negative outcome. When I multiply these, it's 256 feet below the surface. So -256. Here's the big one here, if you don't listen to this, okay, that you're going to get it wrong. If you do not answer these problems on Excel number 13 with a negative in front of it, then you're going to get it wrong, okay? It has to have that negative in front of it. So you're going to have to be very careful with each one of these Excel problems. Does it need the negative in front of it, or are they saying that it's already below, which tells you that it's already negative, okay? All right, guys. If you have any problems with any of these, remember we can go through them in class. Make sure you take down all these notes, and we'll talk soon.